We wrapped up a little early today in the shop, so my dad just was like, hey, do an oil change on Gonzo. So I pulled it out. You see all the air bubbles in there and the oil. It's not really a good sign. A little worried. When we cut this filter open, it's gonna be full of metal.
Chad.
Huh? What? You want the good news, the bad news?
There's air in your oil.
Well, it's because the oil's thick.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah. Because it hits 50 pounds oil pressure like right now.
It is mucky.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
I'm just really worried what we're gonna find if we cut that filter open.
We don't want to know.
Whatever you say. It's your truck.
Yeah.
But if you want synthetic or conventional?
No, we'll put synthetic in it.
What is that?
It's crap
I don't
off
know.
the magnet.
Oh.
This motor may be expiring faster than I think.
Doesn't look
That's
metal.
iron. This is iron. 100% iron.
Which means?
I don't know. Not sure where all that iron came from. I'm sure I don't want to know. We'll do an autopsy.
Okay.
Not of the oil filter?
No, we're not doing any exploratories. We'll wait till she's dead and do an autopsy. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this the power steering lead? Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What? Oh, I'm just changing the gasket on the end of the drain plug to fix an oil leak. Because it's simple.
Yeah, don't do it. If it was anything but brake clean, he might have done it. But
Oh, I'm sure he would have.
well, that oil doesn't look that much better.
It's kind of a green cast. That's the
Yeah.
Schaefer's.
Okay, so when it was green, I was all worried, but it wasn't.
No, that's how Schaefer's oil is. It's green.
One of the best stuff for Gonzo. Because it only goes 200 miles on an oil change.
Actually, that's the first oil change since we put it together at Paul's.
Yeah, I bet that one rear tire is probably went about 200 miles. So.
That one rear tire.
Yeah, could have.
Wow. Gonzo is
Have it
fun.
for fun. I mean,
Yeah, that's what Gonzo's all about. Huh, bearings don't feel bad.
Does it feel good when you spin it?
Yeah, no, it feels good. It's just using a ton of oil. It could still be coming out the seal on the exhaust side.
Well, you
the oil
start it up and
consumption.
it just smokes oil.
But you thought that might just because it needed an oil change.
Right, but all the oil had to be going somewhere. Going through something.
I had to just crack the ball when I started and pull it in. Where the T, where it goes up to the front part of the throttle body.
Pretty good one.
Yep, Mom spotted that one.
Well, figured since we have this in, we'll just as well fix another oil leak. This steering box has been leaking out of the input shaft pretty much since you got it home from Paul's. It was good while we were playing with it there, but wow, it just started pouring. It leaves a puddle pretty much everywhere you park it. It's pretty easy to do. We won't even have to take the box off. We'll just get this steering shaft off and then loosen up the input piece, which is this stamped nut right there. Pull that assembly off carefully, and then we can just change the seal on it, put it back together, and it should probably only take us maybe a half an hour or so to do it. Be one less monster puddle in the shop though. So that's the magic thing right there. Don't let that move. All right, less than 5 minutes and we have that input housing out. The magic trick is don't let this move right there, because if that comes out, then you have to try and line it all up, and that can be a bear. And if you don't get it right, you'll ruin the steering box. Just make sure everything's all clean before you pop it apart, and sometimes 2 sets of hands will make that easier. But you can see the input shaft, there's no gouge or anything in it, no rust. It's in really good shape. Just the seal was old. That steering box had been sitting at Paul's for I don't know how many years, so just the seal was old and hard, but like $10 worth of parts and a little bit of fluid. It's a piece of cake. Caden's over here popping that apart. You'll probably have to turn it over and then take a screwdriver and push that out. I think the new parts are right here. Yep. So there's that. That and that, and the O-ring. Perfect, the O-ring. Okay. Have to hit it.
Yeah, it's going. Make sure it goes evenly.
Should be good right there.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and
Yeah, that was the right one. Okay.
pop that in real quick, and then pop your snap ring back in. And then if there's any, all that pressure will probably push that seal right out. It's tight against that snap ring.
Okay. Well, I can just go back on now.
On these, if you leave that stamp nut on, then you can put it right back to where it was. You just barely break it loose and then spin that housing out. We've got this all put in, got the preload set on it. I made note of where the nut was in relation to the end of the housing piece, and it was almost completely flush, so I just put it right back to the same spot. But it seems like it has the right amount of preload on that bearing in there. Got this rag joint put back on, so I'm just going to stick this bolt back in and put some power steering fluid in it, and it should be done. Well, that burnout attempt on Gonzo was way less than impressive. Not quite sure why it's so down on power. On this motor, it's got quite a bit of blow by. Has been since we put it in at Paul's, and it has one dead cylinder. I'm gonna go warm it up some, see what it does. I did change the oil on it finally. The oil was super diluted with fuel and with water and everything else, so didn't make it all that happy. And then the turbo was pushing a lot of oil through the exhaust housing. I could actually see it blow it out through the downpipe, through the cutout. It was just straight raw misted oil out of the exhaust housing. As soon as I put the restrictor in on the oil feed line, it seemed to cure that. Now I'm going to drive it, determine whether or not this motor's any good. So we'll do a cold start here, go run it down the road, put a couple miles on it, get everything up to temperature, see what it's gonna look like. I don't have high hopes though. I knew this motor was on its last leg, and I've just been trying to milk it as long as I could. Okay, cold start, let's see what it does. Oh wow. Usually it cranks over a couple of times and you can hear the dead hole, but that's actually the best it started up. It sure is quiet in here with the exhaust cutout closed, so makes it really nice. But yeah, it's got 50 pounds of oil pressure, and as you can see, it runs good. I think it's might be smoking a little bit, it's hard to say. You know, a guy probably ought to run his blade over this driveway. It's getting a little out of control. Need to be in the Blazer or Griz to drive down my driveway. Wow. Definitely runs good. As my driveway is, it's still better than this stupid road. Good grief. Oh yeah, she smokes pretty good. I'll need quite a bit of tuning there. It needs some more acceleration enrichment. Boost. Need to bump the rev limiter up a little bit. I think it's only at 62. The trans doesn't want to shift till about 63 or 64, it looks like. So. Yeah, this motor is tired. Look at all that oil. It's just blowing it everywhere, and that's even going through an oil separator. Where it goes in that, I wonder. Oh my goodness. That's from like a 20-minute test drive. Probably had a half a cup of goo on the bottom of that oil separator. That stinks.
Just good lubricant.
Yeah. Wonder how much. Start it up and see what the... Come on, baby.
Wow.
Got bubbles?
Oh, you got bubbles.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah, let's see what this looks like. Yeah. Wow.
What is that?
That's just all blow by. I had this mounted up here, but it was all I could smell because it was coming up through the hood and into the cowl, and ugh, it was so bad. So I moved it up here, but yeah, it's still really bad. I don't think the pistons are broke. They could be. I'll probably pull a spark plug or two out and run a camera down the bores and see if the pistons are broke.
Hope not.
Yeah, well, whatever. It is what it is.
What's the plan now?
I guess we'll have to go through the shed and see what we have for motors. Hoping it'd live for a little while, or at least long enough to push some parts out through the side of the block or the oil pan or something, but I don't think that's gonna happen. We'll catch everything on fire before that happens. So.
Yeah, with that.
Yeah. All right, this thing's had a few minutes to cool down, and so just for fun, I wanted to stick the camera inside the cylinder and see if I broke a piston or if the rings are really just that wore out. Here's my camera there. Let's see. So yeah, you can see, so this little dot right there is the front of the piston. You can see how much oil is getting into that cylinder. I mean, the oil's just running down the top of that piston like crazy. There's been so much oil in there that it's actually washed the top of the piston off. There's really no carbon on there whatsoever. Even right there, actually the cylinder wall, oh look at that, that's rusty. Oh wow, that's probably what took the rings out. The bore's rusty. Yeah, well, good news is I didn't break a piston, but the bad news is it may still need to be bored anyway. I may just keep this engine around and have Kenner tear it down. If it's buildable, we'll build it for his truck. That mock-up engine that we put in his truck is seized up, so this may be a good one for him.
Found out that this motor's locked up, so that's kind of sad. We'll have to see what we can do with it there. We may just end up taking my dad's short block in the shed over there, his 6.0 short block, and then we'll build a 6.0 for it. I wouldn't complain.
If nothing else, it'll be a good learning experience for him. I was kind of anticipating something like this, so I went and dug out in the shed, dug the 6-liter out. This was just a short block that I bought years ago. Had like 300 and something thousand miles on it. I didn't pay very much money for it, like $100 or $150. And I didn't even know how good it was. The cylinders were kind of rusty, so I popped the pistons out and run a hone through it real quick. And as you can see, this engine's in really good shape. This one's probably one of the worst. You can see, but there's not even a ridge there at all. So the pistons are right here. See, the skirts on the pistons are in really good shape. Kind of give you an idea about how rusty it was. The rings are all stuck, but everything's in really good shape. The bearings look like new. That's amazing. For that many miles, it looks that good. So what I'm gonna do is I've got a bunch of parts on their way, should be here tomorrow. I'm gonna re-ring it, re-bearing it. I've already got a cam out in the shed for it, and I've got a set of 243 heads as well. And those are ready to go. Bought them from somebody who was going to put them on their truck, but ended up not doing it. They'll just need some valve springs, and we should be able to get this put together for pretty cheap, maybe $1,000 or less, I'm hoping. Probably make another 100 horsepower over what's here, so that'll more than max this poor little turbo out. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish tearing this down. Hopefully get it all cleaned up and ready for those parts when they show up. And I think Dusty and Tyson will be here in the morning, and Tyson I don't think has ever built a motor before, so this will be a good one for him. Certainly a good one for him to learn on. Then I can kind of bounce back and forth, and I got a little bit of a issue with Griz I want to get squared away so I can start driving it again. But for now, I think I'm just going to get this thing apart. We'll get some parts ordered for this motor. We'll get it put together, and hopefully you'll see that here soon. But that takes care of it for this week. Till next time, remember, life is not about being liked by everyone. It's about liking yourself and being true to yourself. Thanks for watching.